Canada has been ripping us off for years on tariffs for lumber and for dairy products. 250%, nobody ever talks about that. 250% tariff, which is taking advantage of our farmers, so that's not going to happen anymore. They'll be met with the exact same tariff unless they drop it.
President Donald Trump signed executive actions suspending tariffs on Mexico and Canada for 1 month. This comes after volatile tariff news has sent stocks sinking and consumer confidence plunging this week. But Trump says markets weren't a factor in the tariff delay.
No, nothing to do with the market. I'm not even looking at the market.
He said the decision was made out of respect for Mexico's president. The delay extended to Canada as well.
What a mess President Trump has created here.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford says his province is implementing a 25% tariff on electricity exports to 3 U.S. states next week. Those states, Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. Monday, he also threatened to cut off Ontario energy exports to the U.S. if Trump's tariffs on Canadian goods remained in place. Just one of the retaliatory measures that Canada has implemented in the trade war.
I think that the Canadians are saying, look, we're being bullied, and the only way to deal with a bully is to not back down.
Economists warn that American consumers will ultimately pay the price in a trade war.
That next trip to the supermarket's got to be a whole lot more uncomfortable.
They say U.S. companies and consumers will ultimately be responsible for paying the tariffs, and the economic tit for tat may ruin consumer confidence.
Just hours before his joint address to Congress, President Donald Trump enacted 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, a move that received criticism from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, with several of them calling on him to backtrack. In his speech, he admitted that Americans might feel a little disturbance, but added, quote, "We are okay with that." The very next day, he announced a short-term exemption for the auto industry, and later in the week, delayed the tariffs on goods that are covered by the trade agreement signed between the three countries during his first term.
I wanted to help Mexico and Canada to a certain extent. We're a big country, and they do a lot of their business with us, whereas in our case, it's much less significant. We do very little with Canada by comparison. And I wanted to help the American car makers until April 2nd.
The delay Trump announced is only for a month, and the reciprocal tariffs, which Trump initially framed as matching other countries dollar for dollar on their taxes on U.S. imports, are still expected to go into effect on April 2nd. Some of the details about which countries and which products will be affected remain unclear. A trade war among the three nations poses significant risk to all three countries. The back and forth on tariffs alone is causing confusion. Trump has routinely threatened or briefly put in place tariffs only to announce delays or pauses, leaving corporate America unclear on how to invest and whether to hire.
Is causing us to look for other places to buy our products.
Some stakeholders say they're shifting away from doing business with the U.S. in light of tariff threats. And that's especially true in Canada. President Donald Trump is delaying 25% tariffs on many imports from that country and Mexico. Their governments, in turn, are backing off some retaliatory measures. But many Canadians say trust is already broken.
It's been a wake-up call, right? It's been a wake-up call for Canadians that we need to figure out a way to not be as dependent.
Some Canadian businesses say they're trying to rely more on domestic producers. On the consumer level, several boycotts are underway. The online directory Made in Canada reports a surge in web traffic.
I'm just worried about this eternal relationship that we've had for 200 plus years being soured for 4.
Only about 1% of the U.S. GDP comes from exports to Canada. American companies might feel more pain if they have to shell out for new tariffs starting next month. Stock market investors seem nervous about that possibility.
I'm not even looking at the market because long term, the United States will be very strong.
Trump promises tariffs will benefit the U.S. in the end. Economists say they can be a boost for certain domestic industries or workers.
We are hopes that it'll be a motivator to get these companies to get their butts in gear and take care of American workers.